Rising community, and welcome to this session. I am excited to have Bob Doyle with us today. He is best known for his contribution to the film and book The Secret as a law of attraction expert and coach. He has been teaching these principles through programs, live events, podcasts, live streams, coaching, writing, and even virtual reality since 1998, guys. He is driven by his passion for creative self-expression, and his work is heavily focused on helping people decide who they want to be and how they want to express themselves. Recently, Bob's attention has shifted from the metaphysical aspects of the law of attraction or reality creation process to more grounded and biological look at what controls our experiences, our brain. Welcome, Bob.
It is so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is so absolutely my pleasure. And I'm sure that everyone here in the audience are so excited to have one more person from The Secret. I'm soon closing the whole Secret speakers, and I'm
That's right. You got a whole sequel going here.
Exactly. I'm so excited to have you on board and your wisdom and your knowledge.
Thank you.
Right. So our brain, right? Our brain holds the key. Let's dive right in. What made you shift from the law of attraction to working more on the brain?
Well, mostly because I'm really committed to getting people results with transformation. And what I was seeing after 20 years of trying to explain the ins and outs of the law of attraction and vibration and all the science of it that got me so excited and actually got me results, I saw that what was happening, and I'm sure you'll agree, you'll see that there are seemingly countless approaches that people have come up with to mastering the law of attraction and getting the law of attraction right, how to do the vision board and how to do this, and don't think this and think that and all those things. And I just saw that people were so obsessed with getting the law of attraction right that they weren't focused on what was important, which you alluded to in the intro there, is that who do you want to be? This life that you are visualizing, who are you in it? Because I promise you it's somebody different than you're being now, because who you're being now is getting the results you have. So if you want to manifest something different, whether the law of attraction is at play or whatever, you need to become the person who will attract those things. And so to me, it seemed a much more direct route to transformation, to getting right to where reality is created. And that's in the moment that our brain is assessing the moment and making meaning out of it. So what determines that meaning is our wiring. So if we can get in there and make any tweaks to our wiring so that we process the input of our reality in a way that empowers us, then we can literally change the biological structure of our brain, and transformation can be permanent. And that's what I'm about right now.
Right, because we all have filters through which we perceive reality, right?
Yes.
Two people can sit in the same scenario, in the same room, in the same situation, but they will interrupt what's going on completely different.
That's correct. And neither one of them is seeing the truth. It is 100% subjective because of the wiring that we talked about, that wiring that was programmed from the time that we were born, when we were basically just saying yes to everything that was coming in, determines how we interpret everything. And again, when based on the meaning that we give the moment, we're going to take or not take certain action, which will give us a result, which shows up as our life, our experience of reality. So if we want different results, we have to change who we're being, the action that we're taking.
So how do we do that? How do we start rewiring our brains so we can be who we want to be?
Well, I think the first thing that people need to get past is this a real thing? Because with the law of attraction, there was so much question as to, is this real? Is this seems, I want to believe it, it seems, but is this real? And that whole filter creates a behavior. You will proceed with a different level of caution through things if you're not 100% sure that what you're going for is actually a thing. Brain rewiring, changing our brain, absolutely. We know for a fact our brains change. They change throughout our life, depending on the information we give it. So that way, if we just approach it this way, knowing that we can reprogram and understanding how we got programmed in the first place, then any little subconscious thoughts that we have about, is this true? Is this going to work? Go away. And now we can just focus on on what changes we need to make. So once we get past the, is this a thing, which should be very simple because no one's arguing that our brains can change, then it's a matter of how do we want to change them? And so that's where it's very similar to when we're coming up with what do we want our life to be when we're looking at the law of attraction. We're looking at that, but we're really focusing on who do we need to be in that scenario. I always, when people come into the law of attraction conversation for the first time, maybe, and they think, oh, well, I can attract whatever I want. And they start creating their vision board and whatever it is they want. So many times they're creating that vision from the place they are in that moment, which makes sense. But they could be in lack and scarcity and fear. And so that the vision they're creating is what that person wants, but based on all sorts of fears and lack. What we really want to do when we're creating a vision for ourselves is visualize it as that person we want to become. What do they want in their life? When they've achieved this, that, and the other thing, and they have all the confidence, what are their goals? What's important to them? So it's a totally different way of looking at your vision. And it's going to be much more productive because as you see yourself in your vision in the future, your brain's just going to fill in some blanks. You're going to see some behavior that version of you must have had to cultivate that you don't have right now. So when you start to get the vision of who you need to be, then we get into the work of, okay, how do we rewire our brains to be that?
So I like how you said that it first depends on what you've been programmed with already, right? So you're already carrying a certain vibration, a certain software, if you will, that you downloaded growing up. And from that space, from those lenses, you look at reality, you perceive reality. And so from here, you want to get to become a whole other person with different software. And you want to merge, yourself with that person first, so then you can manifest from that person's.
Yes, you said it exactly.
Right?
Yes, that's it exactly.
Right. So how do you become that person? What's the steps or the processes or what's needed for you to envision that person and become that person?
Sure. Well, let's look at how you became this person, right? Now, most of it was unconscious because, as we said, you were wired. And so that now it's just, this is truth. This reality you're saying is truth. You're not evaluating it. You're not assessing it. You're just, but the key here is to wake up to when you're in autopilot behavior. When you have a response that is disempowering and takes you away from the fulfillment of your goal, it's about noticing that and then imagining how would you like to feel on the other side instead of how you're feeling right now. So it takes some imagination. So here's the main thing that we need to understand. We got how we got through repetition, the same information over and over and over and over and over again, and we were just letting it in. So if we want to change, and so that wiring is very, very, it's strong. It's in there. It is in there, but it's not unchangeable. But we have to realize that, okay, it's just wiring. It's not the truth. And if we want a different result, we have to change the conversation that we're having with ourselves on an ongoing basis. And this is why people fail so much when it comes to transformation, because they look at this process as like a program. Like, I'm going to spend an hour a day visualizing, or I'm going to spend however much time. That's not paying attention to what's going on biologically here. You have subconscious conversations that are going on in your sleep that are perpetuating your wiring. So we have to be very diligent about recognizing wiring that isn't serving us and overriding it with other behavior and other visualizations and all of that. The good news is our brain is ready to do that. We have an imagination. We can create images and see scenarios in our mind with full emotion and imagine senses before they happen. That's the gift of our reality creation, because with that ability of imagination, we can visualize ourselves in a situation that is historically disempowering, being the empowered version of ourselves. At first, it'll seem uncomfortable and weird, of course, because you're not wired to do that. But as you do it over and over and over, just like you learned everything, you'll get through the discomfort that you experience, just like when you learn anything, and it will become easier and easier. And with the rehearsal, without you even having to do anything in the real world, over and over and over again, you've started the rewiring process. Now, when you are out in the real world, you have rehearsed these moments. So the next time that trigger happens, where you normally go dark or whatever, negative, whatever the old behavior is, you have rehearsed repeatedly the new way to be. And so you be it in that moment. Now you've brought all of it into the physical, and the wiring even goes a little deeper the more that you physical. But it is through that being that the universe, if you will, has something to respond to bring you something, to bring you that you have to take the journey. Just like all those people that are inspiring you, they took their journey too. They didn't look at a vision board with nothing one day and then wake up with everything. They took a journey. And the law of attraction is always running in the background, but we do not have to obsess over how it's working. We need to focus on how we're working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And what you just described, I call it healing. In my language, I relate exactly the same as healing, because we have experienced whatever we experienced growing up. As you said, we took everything as a yes. We didn't filter anything out. And we keep entertaining voices in our mind that might not be ours to begin with. They might be our mother, father, teacher, sibling, somebody else that have spoken to us, and we keep perpetuating that same conversation, sometimes in loops of thoughts that repeat in themselves, which we are not even aware they're happening. And we get swept by them, we get completely lost in them. And so, as you said, the first thing is to wake up, is to light that, to shine that light of awareness into actually what is going on here. What is the conversation we're having with ourselves on an ongoing basis? How do we treat ourselves, right? Because if we treat ourselves badly, then we are not going to manifest anything good in the world, right? We have to be our best cheerleader, our best supporter, to even, pick ourselves up to that vibration. So, yeah, I love how you talk about the law of attraction, but really it's the return back to wholeness. It's the return to our power, to know that we have that power, that we are co-creators, and B, that we can heal ourselves to get there. It's not set in stone the way we are right now. We have the power and everything that it takes to get from here to the person we have the potential to be, right?
Right. And my message is for those people who are struggling with, because I think in today's personal development culture, in some cases, there's this sort of, for lack of a better word, and I do not mean to offend anyone, but there's a woo-woo sort of feeling, like it's mystical, it's metaphysical and all of this. And I'm not taking away from any of that. But there's also a very physical thing that's happening that's very grounded and practical that anybody can understand. So anybody, whether or not they have metaphysical leanings or spiritual leanings whatsoever, can still transform. But they need to take the mystical aspect out of the word transform. We're simply learning. When we learn anything, Spanish, walking, talking, we make a bunch of mistakes, we get all the feedback, but we keep going because it's non-negotiable. We're going to learn this. We don't decide after we fall down a few times, the universe doesn't want this for me. But that's how a lot of people approach their own personal transformation. But if they would just realize that they're just learning to be a different version of themselves, and it's the same process as learning anything else. Repetition, new information over and over, making mistakes, getting feedback, making adjustments until you're there. There's nothing magical about it. It's just biology, and all you have to do is stay consistent, and your brain will do exactly what it's doing right now. It's taking the information and it's processing it the best it can, referencing everything it's got. But if you keep giving it new information and stop referencing the old, then those old neural pathways will get weaker and weaker and weaker and less readily accessed. And that's the key. We're replacing your go-to with something that is more empowering.
Right. So we're creating new neurological pathways, which today we know through neuroplasticity that it is possible. In the past, people thought that, you're an adult and that's it. Your brain connections are set and that's it. Now we know it's not the case. They are changing and transforming all the time. So it's about rewiring new pathways that are set enough, that they've got enough firing going on to remain, right? To become
Yes.
the new pathways.
Yes. And to do that, again, it's all about that consistency. And so your vision for yourself, like I mentioned before briefly, it has to become non-negotiable, because when you're changing wiring in an intentional way, this is what we're talking about. Like, we've been changing our wiring in the background throughout our life, just responding to things. Now we're talking about being intentional. Like, nope, I'm waking up and I'm going to change this. We're going to feel it so much more when we are being intentional. It's going to come right up. And that's what makes most people run away. This is too uncomfortable. I can't do this. This isn't meant for me. Whatever. What was I thinking? But really, that moment of discomfort is the time to celebrate, because that's now you've reached it. Now, all you have to do is start pushing it a little bit more, using your imagination to think bigger and bigger and bolder, and then it will become more and more comfortable as you go along, and your comfort level will change. But anytime you're growing into something new, you're going to have discomfort. And if you're really going for something big, it's going to be a little bit more discomfort. But that's not something to run away from or fear or make wrong about you. It's natural and should be celebrated. And it is just part of the process, like learning anything else.
Right. And it is out of the comfort zone that we grow the most. So it is just a given, right?
Yeah, it will create new comfort zones, and then there'll be a new, a new one and a new one and a new one. Here's the thing, and I know that you know this, and most people probably listening to this know that we are in a universe that is ever expanding. This is another thing we're pretty darn sure of, ever expanding. And we also know that we are a part of the universe. We're not separate from it. It's not the universe and us. We are one configuration of energy that allows the universe to experience itself with all of these amazing senses and things that we have uniquely as a human being. We are meant to grow and expand. We're born with those passions and that sense of purpose for a freaking reason. And we're born with the thing we need to make it happen. And that is our brain. We just have to program it right.
Right. And if we don't do that, then it keeps knocking on our inner doors. It keeps, first in whispers. And then if we don't listen, it's a big knock, it's a shout, because we are here, as you said, for a purpose. And if we not walk in that purpose, and again, we've got a choice to express it in whichever way we want. There's no right or wrong, there's not one way, but it is who we are as the divine potential in this human body that wants to be lived in this lifetime, right?
Yes. If you don't express yourself, if you stop growing, if you keep living, if you keep telling yourself all those stories that you've been telling you and everybody else about why you can't be, do, or have, then you're really truly fighting your nature. And that is where disease and depression and anger and resentment and all of it comes from. And you can see it starts pretty early in our lives with the kids, when they go from being able to just be able to creatively express and just be their exuberant selves and say, I'm going to be this, I'm going to do this and do this, to now you're in a classroom and this is what you're going to learn, and you can't do that, and you can't. So it starts really early, this suppression of our inner spirit, and being told that you can't do that, or there's a time to do that, or you got to do it under these parameters, or once in a million people can actually follow their dreams. And we go, oh, okay, I see, because we're a kid and we don't know, and we believe the adults. But our nature is to grow and expand. And if we can't do that, we feel it big time. And that's most of the people in the world.
I talk about it all the time, that, a child is born here, and besides the obvious needs of, being fed and protected and clothed, every child wants to feel belong, unconditionally loved, accepted, and fitting in. So what happens is that if the family doesn't allow the individual to be who they are and love them for who they are and celebrate their being just for the mere existence of them, then they start moving away from their authentic nature. They start maybe achieving more, so they will be praised for it, or they start behaving in a certain way so they will feel accepted, and they start moving away from who they naturally are meant to be. And many times we ending up with a false sense of self. We don't know who we are. We've forgotten. We know, I mean, we could remember because it's all in there, but we forget, right?
Or we don't allow ourselves because it becomes too painful after a while. If we learn we cannot follow our dreams, or that it's just not for us, if we've learned that however we've learned it, sometimes it's just too painful to even look at. And so a lot of times people then will say, I don't even know what I want anymore. And I'm like, yeah, you do, it's in there. It's in there. You're just not allowing yourself to experience it because it is too painful, because somehow you've gotten yourself believing that it can't be for you. And it's just like you said, yes, we're going to take on those beliefs. And until we wake up and see what's running, we're really doomed. I mean, we have to see what's going on. And the trick with that is because it's us, we don't see it because we're just looking at the truth as we know it. And everybody else is, but if someone can, if someone can turn on the lights for you so that you can see a pattern in your life or certain behaviors that you go, oh, wait, yeah, okay, that does happen all the time. And here's all the reasons I do it, right? So you get rid of all of those stories. Who do you want to be instead? The story thing is huge. You kind of alluded to it before a little bit, but it's just like what we tell ourselves all the time and others, and how we can talk about how we want everything different in our lives. We have these grand visions, but here's all the things that happen to me and why I can't, and why it's a struggle and why it's hard. And it's like, if you don't stop telling those stories, you're never going to go, because the person you want to be, I promise you, isn't carrying those stories. They don't need them anymore because they're not making excuses for anything. So let go of those stories. Now, here's the problem. It's scary as hell to let go of stories if they have become your identity and you don't know who the replacement identity is. And so that's why, again, you need somebody from the outside, something from the outside who can see what you cannot see, to shine the light on the autopilot behavior and invite you to expand the possibility for yourself in your life.
I agree. You need somebody to guide you through that process of your blind spots and what is it that you got stuck with and you can't see for yourself. And I know that many people, as you said, it's super scary. And many people, fear stops them. And oftentimes it's fear from judgment. It's fear from what others will say. It might also be fear from success and, power. That's also another fear.
Well, it's mostly because they haven't really fully fleshed out their vision. The whole fear of success thing, it's like, well, they haven't thought it through. They also get to imagine that it's effortless, that it's fun, that it's perpetual, that they enjoy it, that, it's like, that's what I'm saying. They're picturing themselves now in that position in the future and they're freaking out. Well, stop doing that. Picture yourself as the future person who's comfortable and who kicked its ass and did it. That's who you need to be. That's the problem. So many people are visualizing their future from this weakened place. And it's firing off all of this programming and all this wiring, and they have all these unconscious conversations going, and they're wondering why they're stuck. But if they can sometimes it's just shining a light on a few of these behaviors, so they can say, okay, so then during the course of their day, they go, oh, I'm doing it. And if they've, done the work, they know what to do in that moment. If they visualized it and rehearsed it and all of those things, that they sort of fine tune their vision. And that's what my work is about now, is helping people with those blind spots, basically.
And so if somebody wants to become the person that they know deep inside they could be, but they don't have a clear vision of what this person is looking like from where they are right now, what's the best way for them to start envisioning that person?
There's two ways I go about this. One is, if there is somebody out there in the real world who inspires you, it has some traits that that you would like, that you feel are in you and could be developed, that's great, right? It's just kind of a clue, like, well, I know I like that inspires me. This is why those types of things. But then the other thing is just if you're not clear on what you're going for, at least you know what you don't like. In other words, let's focus on the reactions, They're autopilot responses that you don't want to feel, and what would feel better to replace them. And through that process, I think you will sort of reveal, and sort of chip away at who is underneath there. When we get rid of all the stuff that is not serving you, let's see what's underneath.
I love that. So it's a journey of discovery, right?
And it should feel that way. Yes. And that's the thing. We invite everyone to just be in awe of what you discover. Like when you see how robotic 98% of your life is, when you really see it, like when you really get that the decisions that you even think are really conscious and well thought out, when you realize that the basis for all of those, the logic you're using could be very well based on faulty information that somebody gave you, and it skews everything you do. When you get that, it's like,
yeah, so this is the journey of self-realization, right? We're learning who we really are at the core of our being, with great, hopefully cultivating great compassion and acceptance to the parts in us that we also don't really like.
yes, all part of a journey. And they show you, it's the whole thing about contrast. Well, I don't like this, so I'd rather be this. Yeah, I mean, the excitement and the possibility when you realize, wow, I really can, given enough time. And here's the other thing, like if you want a life that is radically different than you've got right now, well, you may have to learn a whole new skill set to become that person. So we get into that, well, I just want to manifest it in 30 days. Well, no, the people who do that took 4 years. They learned this stuff. They had these experiences. They took this journey. So let's get you into that journey so we can get you there. But sitting there looking at the vision board, waiting for the journey to manifest around you is not going to happen. So let's get you going. It's the action piece and enjoying it and being up for the ups and the downs of it, so that you can you've really truly earned your position as that new person. And it's it's only through the journey you took that you can sustain being that person. So embrace the journey, the ups and downs and all of it.
And one step at a time, right? One step at a time. As you said, you can't just look, there's also the quantum field. So I don't want to just say that, it must be slow and it must take time and it must, sometimes there are miracles that can just,
absolutely,
so, but generally speaking, it is a journey through which you grow to be that person.
Right. And again, it's logical. How are you going to just be that person without taking the journey? How can you do that? How can you give the value that person has without taking the journey? So it's just like the adventure of it, as opposed to that would take too long. Let's say it took you 4 years. Well, if you don't start, you've signed up for this for the rest of it. And you're just going to do your slow response, slow changes based on what the world is throwing at you based on your autopilot behavior with no proactive. You're literally just running out an automated program because you're not being conscious, truly conscious about the direction that your life is going. And there's an idea that that's what they want. We're not taught the potential of this thing. We're told we're not using all of it, whatever. But if you can just get the basic principle that you can teach your brain anything, it may take longer for some people than others. It doesn't matter. If the vision is inspiring, if this is what you're here to do, you just take it however long it takes so you can get there. But wondering why won't it happen or how long, then you're just signing up for basically what's going to be for you a mediocre ride for the entire thing.
Right. And I've heard the other day something really that rings true to me is don't bother about the how, find the who. So find somebody that walked the path that you want to embark on and learn from them, because success leaves clues. And there are people that walk the journey that you are walking at the moment, and you can always look at the journey that they went, and that is inspiring and that is motivating. And yeah, that's one way.
Yeah, it's totally true. And it doesn't have to be that you do everything they do. Mm-hmm. You look for, and this was certainly true when I first started in my online business 20 some years ago. It was like, well, I read a bunch of marketing courses, right, about writing and all that stuff. But I didn't follow everything any one person said. I found the pieces that resonated with me and found how those work with who I really am, and then use that. And that's just the best way. So yes, be inspired by other people, but maybe they're a jerk in the real world, but boy, they're really good at this, and that. So you learn, what do I need to do to cultivate those skills without becoming a jerk?
Yeah, exactly. You need to feel it for yourself, right? If it resonates, if it aligns, then take it. If not,
but also be aware of the difference between, wow, that's just not who I am, and resistance. Because sometimes that resistance is a challenge to step up. Like, I could never do that. Is different than I'm not that person. It's like again, if they're a jerk and you're just at the core, you're not a jerk. Now, if they've taken some bold action where you go, I don't know if I could do that. Well, sure you can. It's just action. You can do it. It's just, it may take you a while to get ready to do it, but of course you can do it. Right now, it seems like you can't do it. Of course, because you've never done it. You've got no wiring in you to suggest that you can do it, except for the fact that we know that we can change our brains and learn to do whatever. So of course you can do it. How badly do you want it? Or goodly, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what are you willing to do for it, right? Because if you're just gonna sit and visualize, but without action, nothing will happen. It needs to be that, as you said, action must follow.
Yes, you need to be visualizing the action you're going to take, because that's what's going to make difference to your brain. Instead of visualizing how the particles are going to come together in your favor as you sit there, visualize who you need to be to get those particles moving.
Right. And that creates momentum, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. If you keep it going. And that's the thing, it's the consistency. When I'm working with people, it's every day. It's every day throughout the day, because yes, that's when you gain the momentum. Because if you stop after a couple of days and you say, well, I really did change some stuff. But you let your whole life of your wiring is really still at play here, and it's going to kick in. If you aren't on guard, and it's so easy to kind of quote unquote fall off the rewire wagon and go back to the other things when you get a trigger. That's why, again, support a daily process, something until your brain is rewired so that it becomes more natural and effortless.
Right. And what about when our brain wired to, say, bad habits or addictions, and they robbing us from our clarity of vision or even our will? What do you suggest?
I actually have, when we talk about addictions, there's like these chemical addictions, physical addictions, and then there's like bad behavior, like addictive behavior, this repetitive stuff where that, it's not serving you. I actually have a process that I give as part of our, the work with people, called the click. And I drank for, most of my adult life, I drank alcohol. And with this process, in 45 minutes, I got rid of it. It's about getting the vision of it's shifting the focus from, oh, this sucks that I'm this, to who could I be without it? Who can I be without it? Because that, again, you're thinking, now you're coming from the right place. You're not this person who's struggling with addiction, trying to break free of it. I'm this person and this is my life. Because then you get to embody how, like, oh, this is awesome. This is non-negotiable. It basically came down to, for me, I can't have the life I'm visualizing and alcohol. It was right, because the process just shows you the two cannot coexist. And if this vision is important enough to me, I will give up this. I know that sounds oversimplified, but I've seen it do really miracles with drinking and smoking, that kind of, but it's also self-talk, any sort of behavioral pattern. But again, it's just really about shining the light on it, seeing how it has been serving us. That's part of it, is like, why do I want to keep this? What are the pros of keeping this? And then what are the pros of, or what are the cons of giving it up? Not the cons of keeping it, but what are the cons of giving it up? Because that's really about letting go of, why is this a safety thing? What stories am I telling myself? Anyway, it's its own process. So we do deal with that, those tough things, but they're just very strong wiring that now have created, in some cases, a source of chemical reactions that keeps your body addicted, but they can all be broken up.
Right. They can all be broken up. And this is really the hero journey, right? So from the place of being the victim to the place of being the hero of your life, what journey do you have to walk? What habits do you have to change? What actions do you have to take? and yeah, who do you vision yourself to be?
Right. But and if you're going to do that, that vision has to be worth it, because every bit of your wiring is going to hang on to those things that have kept you where you are. Every bit of it. This is who I am. This is who I am. Your ego wants to just keep, this is who you are. You're not that. So you have to just keep going and keep going. And that vision, again, it has to be so inspiring that it becomes non-negotiable. That really is the key. When it's non-negotiable, like as if your life depended on it, you'll just do it. You'll just do whatever it takes. You'll take the lumps, you'll learn the lessons, you'll do it. But if it's at all like, well, it'd be really, really cool if I could do this, that is not enough.
Mm-hmm. So you have to establish a very strong why to drive you through that process. If
the change you want is radical, I really want a different financial situation. I really want a different professional relationship. If it's really going to be radical, then yes.
So you can do it. You can do it. You can decide today, no matter where you are at right now. This is not your last, statement. It is not your identity. Identity can shifted and transformed and expanded throughout your life. And in fact, you want it to be, right? You don't want to get hooked onto this is me, because you will be challenged to question that at one point.
Plus, if this is the life we have on this planet, let's go for it. We can be, like, I know I've been various versions of Bob Doyle, and I'm sure 10 years from now, I'll be a different version. Like, go for it. Experience the change. Let's see, live the adventure. I'm not as adventurous as some people in terms of changing who they're being and reinventing themselves, but I'm more so than others. But what feels good to you? What's calling to you? But again, if you don't, you're going to start to feel it.
Right. And many times the universe will help you if you get stuck. It's always better if you willingly step forward towards your growth than sit and get stuck, because then the universe will help you. And sometimes it's not in the nicest of ways.
Right. That's where a lot of discomfort comes, when you're forced that way. But yeah, there's an easier way, sure.
But even when you do force into that way, it is life still happening for you and not to you. So it is still there for your favor, because life wants you to grow and embody that you have meant to be.
Yes. If you take the journey that is being presented before you, then you reap the rewards. Yes, it is for you that this challenge is coming up, because you're telling me, the universe is saying, that you want to become this person. Well, this person has mastered this. So let's go do it. Right.
And then comes it might be a blessing in disguise that is colored in trauma, in challenge, in adversity. And even then, it is there to support you to become the fullness of your being, what you came here to be. And maybe you need to master some qualities that then will rise you to be able to meet the depth of your being in other ways that you would not be able to do if you would not experience what you have been experiencing.
Yeah. There's going to be some dragons to slay and all of those wonderful things, but they all make the journey so much more rewarding on the other side. And again, empower you to help, if it's part of your journey, to help others, to help people in a much more powerful way, because you have been there. And there's nothing more valuable to that than other people, for other people than that, from learning from someone who has walked the walk and inspired them.
Right. So you have walked the walk and you are inspiring us. And I know that you also have a beautiful free gift that you want to share with the audience. Would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah, so we've been talking this whole time about how important it is to shine the light on your autopilot behavior, because that's the first step. That awareness is the greatest gift you can have. And it's the ongoing skill I want people to have as they go through their day, to be able to wake up like that. So we created a quiz. It's a free quiz. It's 60 seconds. It's multiple choice. It couldn't be easier. But what it does is it tells you what we're calling your transformation personality type. There's nothing wrong with these types. It doesn't mean that you're broken, but these types, depending on the type, there are certain behavioral traits associated with them that have been shown to slow people down or create self-sabotage. Don't always, But if you're feeling stuck, if you feel like, wow, I should be further along, or, oh, I keep doing this to myself and I don't know why, then taking this quiz and learning your type and shining a light on those behaviors, now you've got some information. Now, during the course of your day, you will be able to go, oh, I'm in autopilot response. I mean, we don't just leave you there. You've got a PDF and a video that says, now that you know this, here's what you can do to start the rewiring process in a proactive way. So it's such a simple thing, 60 seconds and multiple choice and boom. But that information is so valuable because it is the key to the beginning of a conscious shift in your being and rewiring and creating a whole new autopilot for yourself.
Sounds awesome. So go ahead. The link is below and get that quiz and check out your transformational type so you know what direction to go. That will ease your journey, I'm sure. And shed that light that will open up so much more for you. Very, very exciting. Thank you so much, Bob, for being here. And I just want to ask you if people want to learn more about what you do or follow you, what's the best way?
It's so easy. Well, the quiz will get you in the door too, but you can go to meetbobdoyle.com. And that's just sort of my general hub to everything, all my socials, super easy to find on Instagram and Facebook. Just search my name, to YouTube. I've been out there for a hot minute, so it's very easy to find me.
Great. So go and find him. It's super easy. Bob Doyle all over. We'll have all the links. Thank you, Bob, so much for your wisdom, for your gracious acceptance of this invitation to be here, and your passion. I can definitely hear and feel your passion and the beautiful work that you do in the world. Bless you.
Well, it's totally my pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
So this is a wrap up of this beautiful conversation. I am Nuna Isi Ma, your host, and until the next time we meet, lots of love from me.